What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So I apologize for the strange surroundings. I am at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. I'm on the C8 Corvette Drive today, and so away from home, and so I apologize if the lighting's not great. Also the audio might be a little weird. You might hear some sirens because I'm like literally right on the Las Vegas Strip, and so might be a little bit noisy. But still wanted to do a weekly update for you guys. Of course, there's lots of exciting stories to go over this week. And if you're curious about the C8 video that I'm working on here, that's going to be posted this weekend, so definitely stay tuned for that. But first news story here this week, we have an interesting report confirming the 2021 Bronco will be coming in March, actually. So, according to Automotive News, Ford is planning to reveal the 21 Bronco at their own event sometime in March. They didn't say when or where, but this was uncovered by some Automotive News sources. I guess they have some insider sources that went to a Ford dealer meeting. And so they revealed that supposedly they're going to be revealing the two-door and the four-door versions at the same time. And they also added in that the smaller escape-based baby Bronco that we've been hearing about, that is also confirmed to be called Bronco Sport. And that makes a lot of sense, because if you remember back in the beginning of January, whenever I was talking about all the Bronco parts leaks that were going on, we saw that there was a Bronco grill, but it had oval cutouts for headlights, and we know that the standard Bronco is going to have round, normal headlamps, not oval headlamps. So it was kind of confusing, but everyone was suggesting they'll just probably label the small one as a Bronco too, and now we have this report that supposedly it will be called Bronco Sport, so that makes sense. We'll see how that goes over with actual Bronco owners, but yeah, so that's kind of a thing there that makes a lot of sense now. And also, according to the dealers, that Bronco Sport will be revealed at the New York Auto Show in April. So regular Bronco comes in March. April, we see the Bronco Sport. So a pretty quick rollout for both of those. And the dealers supposedly were told that they'll be arriving at dealerships, both models, in early 2021 for those Broncos. So interesting to hear that. And for some other interesting stuff here, for those who are GR Yaris fans, whenever that was debuted a few weeks ago, and we're bummed we're not getting it here in the States, at the 2021 Super Reveal last week at that event, Bob Carter, who's Toyota's Executive Vice President of Sales, told reporters there that Toyota has an answer to the GR Yaris for America. That's all he said. So you can kind of speculate, but chances are it would be a hot hatch if he's talking about an answer for America, but he didn't elaborate. The main speculation, though, here is that the engine from the GR Yaris could be put into the Corolla hatch. That's the most likely candidate. It's such a fantastic chassis in the Corolla hatchback. That's such a sporty vehicle already. It just needs more power, and so this would give it that power. And they're also, according to the rumors, it would use that all-wheel drive system from the GR Yaris and its manual transmission as well. And the motor, if you missed the news on the GR Yaris, it runs a turbo 1.6-liter inline 3-cylinder engine that has 268 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. And if they add with that manual and all-wheel drive, that could be a really great WRX competitor, especially if Subaru continues to refuse to sell a hatchback version of the WRX for this next-gen version. Then Toyota could have the answer here, which would be very nice and convenient, and also kind of battle some of the other hot hatches while being lower power and hopefully cheaper, so maybe fill a niche that isn't being served very well right now. So that's very interesting. It also could be something different. When he says they have an answer, that's very vague. So one of the ideas I even had, just spitballing, is that they could potentially take the powertrain from the RAV4 Prime, 2.5-liter, naturally aspirated motor, and then a bunch of electric stuff as well, because I think they're on the same platform. Drop that in, you got 302 horsepower like the RAV4 Prime, 302 horsepower, electric all-wheel drive. Unfortunately, that would most likely be a CVT automatic type setup, so maybe not as enthusiast-oriented, but you'd have way more power, instant acceleration with the electric stuff, and you'd probably end up like the RAV4 Prime, having like 40 miles of electric range. Could be a very innovative way to do a hot hatch. We'll see if they go that route or this other route or something else entirely. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let me know what you would like to see for a hot Corolla hatch in the comments below. Some other hot hatch news though, Honda revealed a couple new variants here for the Civic Type R this week, and this is for the 2021 model year. So first we have this Type R limited edition. It only comes in Phoenix Yellow, which is the first time this classic color has been offered on the new car. Only 600 of them are coming to the States. In addition to the paint, you also get unique forged BBS wheels that are 18 pounds lighter overall. They also removed lots of sound deadening all over the car, so it'll be noisier but lighter, and they did that to save 28 more pounds supposedly. And I guess there's some other weight savings that wasn't detailed, because total weight savings is 69 pounds overall. In Europe, it's going to come without air conditioning and radio as an option. You can option in that stuff if you want still in Europe, but those ones are going to be 104 pounds lighter. But I guess us Americans, we can't handle that. They don't even want to offer it for us, so it's a little bit heavier. And so it's nice, you know, the weight savings isn't huge, but supposedly they also have retuned the suspension and steering, so that should give it a little bit of a better edge as well. It's going to be on sale this summer, but there isn't any pricing for that yet. The one that I think Americans actually would enjoy a lot more, but unfortunately we're not getting, is this new Civic Type R Sport line. And so this gives you these more subdued looks. You get that smaller spoiler in the back, smaller 19-inch wheels, which will actually ride better than the 20s you see on normal Civic Type Rs, and a less colorful interior, but it actually has more sound deadening, so it'll be quieter. This, personally, is the most appealing version of the Type R to me. I would be actually interested in something like this over the standard one, which is a little bold for, you know, a lot of people. And so, but yeah, Honda says it's only for Europe. I hope they change their mind. Autoblog did ask them why they're not offering this version in the States, and they responded. A Honda representative responded and said that the regular Type R is selling well, and they didn't want to take away any availability from the regular version. I guess the inventory, because I guess Honda dealers will only stock so many Type Rs, and so you know, you don't. If everyone's buying the normal one, they don't want to, you know, crowd up the space with this more discreet version. Which I guess I can understand. Maybe in a year or two, if Type R sales slow down, maybe they'll bring this version in then for us. We'll have to see, but I'm all about giving people options. I think it'd be great to have the option, at least even as an order-only car, if nothing else. That'd be nice. But anyway, maybe they'll change their mind eventually. But cool that they're offering that for those of you in Europe. Back to some speculation here. Top Gear this week interviewed Audi Sports Managing Director Oliver Hoffman about the future of the R8. And you know, recent reports have said that the R8 probably won't get a next generation, or it'll be totally electric and something different. And so this kind of gave some clarity to those rumors. So in this interview, he seems to discredit these reports by telling Top Gear that the technology and the platform of the next generation R8, the fact that he's even mentioning that's notable, but he says that the technology and platform for the next generation R8 is undecided, but said it will be a car with an electrification part, but that it might just be a hybrid, since that's all that's allowed for Audi's GT3 and GT4 customer racing programs. And he says we have to fulfill that demand in the future. So they need to build these race cars for some reason, and so you have to have it based on a production vehicle. And so, you know, they might actually do the production version because they have to do the racing version, which is kind of an interesting paradigm there. You know, like, again, the fact they're even talking about, you know, what are we going to do for next gen R8 means they want to do one. Hopefully they will be able to do one. And, you know, I think, especially if they're just doing some hybridization, then it would make sense to just continue doing what they have been doing for the past, you know, 13 years here, where the R8 is just based on the Huracan. Lamborghini has committed to sticking with naturally aspirated engines, but then having the hybrid component for all of these next generation Lamborghinis to have, you know, the CO2 friendly, being able to drive it in cities and stuff, while also having the naturally aspirated engine, and that's that response when you want it. So if that's Lamborghini's plan and that fits into what Audi needs to do with this new race car and stuff, just do that. Just continue to have it be based on the Huracan or whatever the next gen version of that car will be called, and you're set. And you know, hopefully that's what they end up doing. We'll have to see, but interesting to get some clarity there. Koenigsegg this past week, or a couple weeks ago, shared a picture of several covered cars at their dealer meeting that happened last month. And so the covered cars are supposedly models that they'll be revealing in Geneva in a couple of weeks. And so one is rumored to be called the Mission 500 concept, and that's going to be the car they're going to use to try and challenge the new top speed record that they used to have, and then Bugatti, you know, hit 302 or whatever and beat them. And so now I think they want to one up Bugatti, and so that will be the car they'll do that in, hopefully. Another one, though, according to the Supercar blog, is going to be codenamed KG12, and they claim that this other model is one of the ones under the wraps there. It's going to be a hybrid 2+2 car, which is going to be the first Koenigsegg with a back seat, and they'll supposedly run a little 2-liter 3-cylinder turbo engine that uses the company's free valve engine design, which doesn't have any camshafts, which is very radical. And then it's going to add on some super powerful electric motors that will bump the power up to 1,500 horsepower. Crazy. It's going to sound really bizarre, though, because you have this little 3-cylinder engine going nuts, and then you're going to just have electric whirring and very odd, but Koenigsegg, they aren't scared to take chances and think outside of the box. So very interested to see if that actually turns up at the show and, how it actually performs and all that kind of stuff. But interesting nonetheless. Maserati has announced a new sports car this week. It's coming in May. It's going to be called the MC20. And so MC cars are always used in racing. So whatever the production car is, it'll likely have a racing version, almost certainly. Then like the previous one, the MC12, was based on the Ferrari Enzo way back when. So I don't think they're going to be working that closely with Ferrari anymore. So I don't know if it'll be that. It might be something more unique. But they did show a mid-engine prototype here that you're seeing a few weeks ago. And so the chances are it's going to be something related to that. Could be a variant of an Alfa Romeo 4C, or at least a heavily modified 4C, since that seemed to be what that prototype was based on, but we'll have to wait and see. But very exciting there. Volkswagen has shown the front end of the new GTI that's going to be revealed in Geneva, and we already saw some of it leaked out and stuff in a couple of weeks ago in the weekly update. So now we see officially what it's going to look like with those LEDs there in that lower fascia, which are cool, and yeah, we'll have to wait until Geneva here for all the details and all the other views of that, but cool to see that. There's a new report this week from Car and Driver talking about Genesis and how they're considering doing a wagon version of the G70. That was like the last thing I was ever expecting to see in the news. And so, yeah, a wagon version of the G70. So there's a recent Q&A supposedly where Genesis' CEO said, yes, we have a study for that, when they were asked about a wagon version of the G70. I don't know who asked that question. That was out of left field, but they had an answer. And they said, yep, we're looking into it, basically. So not sure if this would come to America. I think this was probably a Q&A centered around European vehicles. And obviously, in Europe, wagons still sell in decent numbers. And so if they want to be competitive in Europe, maybe a wagon version makes sense. Here in the States, it's a pipe dream. Maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't, I don't know. But I wouldn't hold my breath for that if they even do it. Right now they're just looking into it. So still a big if, but exciting that they're even considering that. Another interesting report here comes from Autocar, and so they interviewed Kia's marketing chief about the electric performance car that they and Hyundai are developing with Rimac. That was a story that broke several months ago, and so partnering with Rimac, which they make, of course, the insane hypercars that are all electric, and so the styling was previewed by the Kia Imagine concept last year, but now we have a better idea of what the production car is going to be like, which is supposed to arrive next year, actually, so pretty quick. And so they told Autocar this car will have a significant effect on how consumers perceive Kia and its part in future electrification. We wanted to demonstrate super high performance levels, but in a package that is different. So that's why you have this slightly lifted four-door thing, which is a very different design. But if this sounds like it's going to be expensive, though, it might not be, which would be really cool because, so another one of the quotes here, one of the final quotes is they said, "We are not a premium brand, we are a mainstream brand, and we have to be true to that heritage. This car will be a halo and be priced accordingly, but it will demonstrate that you can get very high performance levels without having to pay the premium prices of, for instance, Tesla, BMW, or Mercedes-Benz." And that's an interesting quote, especially bringing Tesla into it, because obviously this vehicle will challenge Tesla, and if he's claiming it's going to be cheaper than Tesla, that's going to be impressive considering a Model 3 Performance, has that supercar levels of performance and is, under $60,000 or maybe 65. So, if we can get a Kia that's like the price of a Stinger GT that's got a Rimac powertrain and has super high levels of performance, that almost sounds like they're cannibalizing Stinger sales or something. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting thing. Maybe it'll be a little more expensive than that. But, yeah. very, very intriguing there, and we'll have to see how that turns out. Thankfully, it sounds like we don't have much longer to wait, maybe a year and a half or something. And if you're wondering what Hyundai's thinking on their side, if it sounds like they could, obviously they're getting a version of this Rimac-based vehicle as well. And so they are showing at Geneva this concept called the Prophecy. And so it's officially, according to Hyundai, only supposed to preview their design language for the future, meaning that elements from this vehicle could find their way into various models. But something of this shape could also fit into that electric Rimac, halo model thing. So maybe this is what Hyundai is thinking up for their version of this vehicle. We'll have to wait and see, but either way, it looks very cool, and I look forward to seeing more at Geneva here in a couple of weeks. For production car reveal, Kia has revealed the 2021 Sorento completely now, and so this is ahead of, again, Geneva in 2 weeks. It looks great in my opinion, very sharp and bold. Kia, they really make some really awesome looking cars these days. The interior also looks very good, and it's going to have a 10.25 inch infotainment screen there in the middle. Digital gauges are going to be an option, and it looks very premium and high end as well too. Of course, this is like the top version, but still very awesome. You can get that in a Sorento. We don't have any mechanical details yet for this, and the reveal in Geneva is just going to be for the European version, so we might have to wait till New York in April to get all the details on the American version as far as what engines we're going to be getting, things like that. But very cool to see that nonetheless. Speaking of New York and the New York Auto Show, though, according to Automotive News, Cadillac's president announced that Cadillac will be revealing a midsize electric crossover in April. They didn't say the New York Auto Show, but I highly doubt they'd want to miss out on all the foot traffic and attention they would get at New York with this vehicle. So I'm guessing it'll be debuting maybe at a standalone event a few days before New York or at New York. We'll have to see, but he didn't specify, so far. But anyway, so it's likely the vehicle that was teased for CES. It was supposed to be showing up at CES, but then was delayed because of the worker strikes and all that type of stuff. So that is probably what is coming, and it was teased about a year ago. We saw like a concept image of what it would look like there. We'll have to see if it ends up looking like that or not. But on a somewhat related note, I actually got some spy shots this week from Instagram user Sid Robo, who took these pictures in Chicago here. And I was kind of stumped on what it was, but he actually very, very intelligently pointed out that the wheels look to be from a Cadillac. And whenever he showed some other Cadillac designs, this looks like a Cadillac designed wheel. And so that's likely what this is some type of Cadillac. And then, since we know that we have this electric Cadillac coming in April, looking more closely at this, I don't really see any kind of exhaust pipes or any kind of cutouts or designs for an exhaust or something like that. And this is on a cold day in Chicago, and I didn't see any kind of smoke or anything coming out of the back of the vehicle either. Could be just start-stop, just doing its job, but could also be fully electric. That could be what we're looking at here, is a heavily camouflaged version of that vehicle coming in April. And would make sense from a timeline standpoint as well to have mules out now. This could also be like a next-gen version of the XT5 possibly, but I think all signs seem to point to that being our first look at that electric crossover in its production form. So interesting to see that, and thanks so much to Sid Robo there for sending that over. For some sad news about GM this week, especially for those of you in Australia, GM announced this week that they're killing off the Holden brand, and it's been around in Australia for a long, long time. And so anyway, GM President Mark Russ said in a statement that after considering many possible options and putting aside our personal desires to accommodate the people and the market, we came to the conclusion that we could not prioritize further investment over all other considerations we have in a rapidly changing global industry. So they're kind of playing it up like, the market's changing, we can't afford to keep this brand alive. But Australia's Prime Minister, they seem to think that it's a result of GM's mismanagement of the brand, saying that I am angry, Australian taxpayers put millions into a multinational company and GM let the brand just wither away on their watch. But unfortunately, that and many other things, just Holden, I guess, just couldn't make it with whatever was going on. So that's a shame, especially for those of you in Australia, but hopefully there'll be some new innovations that bring some more jobs back to Australia. For some other news, speaking of a new car company, Tesla this week just nonchalantly improved the range for the Model S and the Model X with a new Long Range Plus version for each of those. So the Model S is now rated to do 390 miles on a single charge. That's 20 more than before. And the Model X now does 351 miles of range, which is 23 more miles than before. There's also this new wheel design for the Model S called the Tempest design, which may have helped those range improvements possibly, along with software and all those types of improvements as well. And these are the new base models as well. So they're going to be starting at $81,190 for the Model S, and the Model X is going to be starting at $86,190. There is still also the performance version of those if you want the faster version that also has less range. But anyway, cool to see them continue to improve that. And Elon Musk has been tweeting about how they're going to be over 400 miles of range very soon. So you expect more improvements and updates as well, coming down the road here. Lastly, Lexus is looking to challenge Tesla and Cadillac with its Lexus Highway Teammate technology that they revealed to Automotive News Europe. It's going to be a level 2 driver assist feature that will have the potential to upgrade eventually to level 3 autonomy. And so the president of Lexus explained at a press event that the technology is going to be debuting in a vehicle this year and will be a hands-free experience, including being able to automatically change lanes and pass vehicles on the highway. So basically it sounds identical to Cadillac Super Cruise. And Super Cruise is amazing. It's hands down the best driver assistance tech out there right now currently, in my opinion. And so this is likely for Japan first, because there was a mention of them mapping all the roads in Japan, and that's what they're working on currently. But hopefully this will come to the States eventually as well. I'm sure sooner rather than later, because they want to compete, and that is one way to do it. And I'm guessing it could actually come here as soon as Lexus is ready to roll it out, considering Super Cruise is already legal here in the States. So if that's legal and approved by regulators, then hopefully this Lexus system would be as well. But yeah, so that's it for all the news this week, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts and everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.